This presentation was originally recorded on August 18, 2021, and contains the most accurate information available at that time. We encourage you to visit the links shown here for any new or more detailed information.
So we are here from First Long Island, which is a group from School Business Partnerships of Long Island. We're here to talk about the first programs that are available to students here on Long Island. Here's a little bit about how we will approach the evening, a little bit about our group, a little bit about FIRST in general. We'll take a look at each of the programs that may be interesting to you or to your children and students. And then we'll continue on with what a season looks like here, how things work in terms of sort of life cycle we've developed, and some of the other things. And we'll have some time at the end, hopefully for you to ask questions. Now, there is a chat there on the side, and feel free to use that. And we have some operators standing by here, if you will, to help us handle some of those questions. And buttons are going here. Okay, so who are we? Yes, indeed. First Long Island's parent organization, School Business Partnerships of Long Island, is a nonprofit corporation and IRS and holds IRS exempt status 501c3 as a public charity. Now, SBPLI has been around for a while, been involved in STEM-based programs since 1984. That's when SBPLI began facilitating high school internships at Long Island's technology companies, as well as some other vertical markets. Our mission statement at SBPLI is to create an educated workforce by opening the minds of students to STEM-based career opportunities through a collaborative partnership of schools, businesses, community organizations, and government. Since 1999, when SBPLI partnered with FIRST, we've implemented the FIRST robotics programs for Long Island students. And the executive director of SBPLI is Bertram Dittmar. Now, we'd like to teach you a little bit more about FIRST itself. And to do that, here's a video and our old friend Don.
At this point in the presentation, we showed a video. That video link is available in the upper right-hand corner of your screen or in the show notes.
So a little bit about FIRST, and well, let's look at FIRST by the numbers. So one of the things that FIRST has done is, well, expanded quite a bit. FIRST is big. So these statistics I'm going to show you as that video are 2 or 3 years old. We've made some changes. You'll see those as we go along. But these numbers are, if anything, conservative in pre-COVID times. So lots of students in lots of countries. You can see the numbers here. But this is big. Now, FIRST has gone out, though, and really tried to get kids involved. And so, well, the robots are really just a hook. The skills that are gained go way beyond robotics. Here are a couple of terms that we like to use, and you'll see how they fit in here a little bit. But gracious professionalism is the part of the ethos of FIRST. It's a way of doing things that encourages high quality work, emphasizes the value of others, and respects individuals and the community. With gracious professionalism, fierce competition and mutual gain are not separate notions. Another key term is cooperation, cooperation. It's displaying unqualified kindness and respect in the face of fierce competition. Cooperation is founded on the concept and a philosophy that teams can and should help and cooperate with each other even as they compete. Cooperation involves learning from teammates, and it is teaching teammates. So those are some of the skills that go along with this. Again, robots are where we start, but things go way beyond that. Now, to find out if what I'm telling you is actually correct, FIRST went out and did a longitudinal study. And this tracks what we might call science kids participating in FIRST and kids that don't. And it tracked the differences, and it has been going on since 2012. So again, this information is probably a couple of years old at this point, but you'll see that kids with FIRST experience have shown increased interest in doing well in school and taking more challenging courses. They're also more likely to pursue a STEM-related career and have gained some 21st century work-life skills as well. So this is how we see what's going on, and you can see the impact on alumni as they head into their college years here. Now, one of the other things that we have been tracking is sort of the balance between boys and girls in engineering and science. And we have definitely seen a change. I can tell you from just watching things at our own events that you can see in the last 10 years a significant change in the mixture. But here we see it in terms of people that are working on their coursework and their selection in college, much more of an impact in engineering. And here we have some of the awareness of STEM careers. A lot of times kids are just not aware of what STEM type careers are, what they could be doing. They hear engineer and they think, okay, engineer. And that's great. We love engineers. Well, most of them. But this goes beyond that. There are engineers, there are a lot of people in other tech industries. There are people that look, there are a lot of math skills involved in actuaries as well. I don't know if you'd want to call that a STEM skill, but let's see, teamwork, math, those are all skills that we cover. So these are some of the things that we think really are showing some of the outcomes that we are fostering. We have some core values along the way here. These are common through all of our programs, and you can see those here. But basically, discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and our most important one, fun. So let's take a look at the program specifically for some of the different age groups. There are three main programs here, three primary programs: First LEGO League, First Tech Challenge, and First Robotics Competition. Together, these cover students from 4 years old through high school. Now, our First LEGO League program has 3 divisions and subdivides a little beyond that. There are programs for younger students in First LEGO League Discover, and that goes down to ages 4 to 6. And then we have First LEGO League Explore, which tend to be more of your elementary students at 6 to 10. And then First LEGO League Challenge, which goes on through the middle school years. And you'll see that we'll talk about these as we go along further. The team sizes change a little bit. Sometimes the delivery process is a little bit different. There are 2 high school programs. These are First Tech Challenge and First Robotics Competition. These are really similar in terms of concept, but they take decidedly different paths to get there. We'll look at them in a little bit more detail. Now, one thing that has happened in the last few years, and we're very pleased with this, is that there's an overall theme that occurs each year. It's set in standard as a standard each year for all of our programs. This year is about transportation of goods and services to some extent. I'm going to play another video. I'm going to hope that we can get a little bit better on the audio, and this will show you just a 1-minute overview of what this season's theme is all about.
At this point in the presentation, we showed a video. That video link is available in the upper right-hand corner of your screen or in the show notes.
So our first program is First LEGO League, which again consists of these 3 divisions: First LEGO League Discover, First LEGO League Explore, and First LEGO League Challenge. And as you can guess, this is a bit of a partnership between First and the LEGO Group. Now, typically, these programs are available for a single team in various sizes, or in something we call a class pack, which is suitable for schools or larger organizations. And we'll talk about those options as we move along. So First LEGO League Discover is for our youngest students. Here they use Lego Duplo blocks to build some STEM skills. And their theme this season is Cargo Connect. You're going to find that as the specific theme for all the First LEGO League programs. This program is changing a little bit this year, but it basically has, there are predetermined kits here that fit together that are designed for reuse and to meet certain challenges. Typically, there is a mat that goes on the floor, which might be a I'm not sure about this season's specifics, but it might be a castle or some sort of landscape that the things that kids build can go work with that. So some interesting kits that come with this project or with this program. Now, this is, I've got down here, it's available only in class packs. We're going to check that. I just realized I think that may have changed. There may be a team option available. We'll see. Typically, though, it is offered at in-school events, typically done sometimes during school day or after school, sometimes in a childcare situation. And unique about this program is each child takes home some Lego Duplo bricks. This is a special set that is called 6 bricks. And these there are a series of games that can be played with this. And these brick sets, as I said, they go home with the little list. So parents and children can play together with these. I've talked to parents that have taken these and, waiting in line at the doctor's office or anytime there's a lull in the day, and they'll use that kind of thing as well. Now, here's some photos of what this might look like for some of the younger kids in some of the past challenges. There's my castle. And this is distributed as a full kit. So as we'll talk about a little bit further, if you're thinking of coaching such a thing, we've got you covered. So you'll see here that a team meeting guide is set up, an engineering notebook, which is an age-appropriate way for students to document what they're learning at this age, a lot of pictures. And then there's an appropriate Lego set, which would be this in the top back. And then you'll see that there are the 6 bricks kits that all go home. And next is First Lego League Explore. Now with First Lego League Explore, we're now moving into the realm of elementary school. So we're looking at ages 6 to 10, typically grades 1 through 4. Teams are now up to 6 students per team. And they really start to work with real world science challenges. So in this case, Cargo Connect is our theme. Lots of imagination, lots of guided research, and once again, lots of preparation for coaches. So here it is in a nutshell. Now, these teams use Lego Education We Do 2.0 technology, and we'll see a little bit of that in the next slide. But this is giving them some basic programming and basic programming skills, basic robot construction. They may make something that moves or something that picks something up, but lots of options there with the We Do 2.0 technology. They also create a poster, which we call a Show Me poster, and then they practice their presentation skills. They can present to, we hold an expo every year, and they can present to some people that are called reviewers. And these reviewers are really intended to allow them to develop some presentation skills. There's no competition or judging at this age, but lots of opportunity to hone your skills. And here's what things might look like. You'll see a Show Me poster there on the back on the left. There's a team with an entertaining set of t-shirts there in the center. And on the right, one of their models. Now, this model would have had something that had to move. I suspect it's the tree-like object there on the left. I'm not sure. And in the foreground on the right, you'll see a Lego bee with that sort of gray bracelet-looking tube. And that would have been sort of a theme model that they would incorporate in their model as they describe something that they've researched. And this is how the program is packaged. You'll get an Explore set here in the back right, and then that will have season-specific themed pieces. You'll have a team meeting guide and an engineering notebook per student. In addition to this, you will need to acquire a We Do 2.0 kit, and we're going to have some more details on that a little bit later. And we have some specialists here that can help you with that too. The We Do 2.0 kit is reusable in multiple seasons. The things that you see on the screen here are new each season. Now, I've talked a little bit about how we can help prepare people. So this is what our sample meeting guide looks like. I'm going to also say this is probably a couple of years old, and these keep getting better. Every year we see these. The Lego team really works hard to help build these guides into things that are really helpful. So whether you have whether you're a professional teacher or you're an interested parent or whatever walk of life, you can follow these and have some success. If you're a professional teacher and you say, hey, I got this figured out, go for it. There's no requirement to use these meeting guides. Now, students get an engineering notebook, and at these ages, that term will be used throughout different parts of different FIRST programs, but it has a little different meaning when you get out of FIRST LEGO League. In FIRST LEGO League Explore, it would look more like this. So you might put your ideas down and get some ideas of how you fit into some of the research categories. This brings us to FIRST LEGO League Challenge, which is for the middle school years, ages 4 to 8 typically, ages 9 to 14. The team size goes up here. We're talking about 10 students per team now. And they use Lego Mindstorms, or actually that's been updated. It's now Lego Education's Spike Prime. You can still use your Mindstorms equipment if you have that. And they use that to build their robots. About half of our teams here on Long Island are associated in some way with schools, and the rest are actually community-based teams. So you'll see teams from classes. You'll see teams that are that meet in someone's basement. You'll see teams that are from the Girl Scouts. You'll see teams from all sorts of different areas. It is possible to have a team at home, absolutely. All right, now the missions are carried out on a 4x8 sheet, like a sheet of plywood on a table. And so we're going to show you what that looks like in a few minutes. But basically, they build a robot to cover specific missions that they want to accomplish on this table. And then they execute that at one of our events, our qualifying competitions. And they'll do that under the watchful eyes of our referees. They'll also participate in some judging opportunities there where they may they'll be judged on some research that they've done. So the intensity is amped up a little bit here, and the size of things is amped up a little bit here, and there's definitely a progression. So let's take a look here. In a nutshell, you see once again Lego Mindstorms technology now expressed in the Spike Prime. Teams of all shapes and sizes, lots of math and science concepts. You know, a lot of kids will say, hey, I'm going to aim down there 4 feet away with my robot, and I wanted to go down to that thing, and I set it down, and it should go there. And of course, it turns abruptly left. And you know, they learn things like actually measuring and trying to calculate how far this should go instead of guessing that, you know, when it hits a bump, it should stop. So lots of trial and error there, but lots of opportunities to focus on some scientific things. This is what one of our expos typically looks like. Now you're going to say to me, hey, everybody's standing there. There's not a mask in sight. And you're right. This is from about 3 or 4 years ago. We will talk a little bit later about how things work in a COVID world and how we're trying to get back on track here and see how that works. But of course, we want everyone to be safe. What you don't see in this photo is that this is probably a little loud. We've probably turned the music up loud. We have, you'll see the competition tables there where teams are running their robots. Typically, there are 2 children at a table running the robot at a time. And they have 3 or 4, usually 3 rounds that they participate in. And then it's rather competitive. In the back, you'll see what we call the pit area where teams have set up their research projects. And some of those tables will be empty intentionally as those teams are rushing off to the judges, which would be meeting them in another room. A little bit closer look at some of the equipment. This is the Mindstorms robot. The Spike Prime is a little more colorful than that, but they very much have similar functionality. And you'll see one of our judging sessions there on the right where the team is presenting to 2 judges. This particular team had built an app on their phones that they were going to use to demonstrate something, and that's what they're showing. This is a couple of close-ups here. Well, a little bit better view for you. This is an overhead view of what that table would look like. We've got some area there in the sort of gray black area that's more or less a staging area, and you see the curved area, which is kind of home base. The black lines are not mandatory by any means, but they tend to lead to some pretty interesting places on strategically. Some teams will build line following robots that will follow those lines. Others will use something called dead reckoning, and they'll say, hey, I'm going to go off at this angle and I'm going to go over there. Of course, some of the optimization comes in later when students think, well, I've only got 2.5 minutes to do this. How many of these points can I get? Well, maybe I could do more than one thing per mission. Maybe I could go off to the left and get something and go to the right. So all that's available. You'll see 3 documents there, the team meeting guide again. In this case, engineering notebook is a little bit more advanced for this level of student. And then there's a game rule book distributed as well. And with first rule books, they tend to come in 2 sizes or 2 shapes, two versions per year. There's some rules that don't change very often that tend to be more about behavior and the overall ethos of first, and some that are more challenge specific. They get very specific sometimes. This brings us to our high school programs. And the first one of those is First Tech Challenge. As you can see from this picture, not only did the kids get taller, but the robots got larger. And let's talk a little bit more about that. So this is for ages 12 to 18, typically your high school years, but it does dip down into the middle of middle school. So if you're in a situation where that would be helpful to you to have kids from both schools, typical school breaks in the same team, this program may help. The teams can be up to 15 students in size. Again, the same concepts, but they become much more difficult at this age. Freight Frenzy is this year's theme. Let's take a look at some of the specifics here. So this is a little bit different in that it's a head-to-head competition. In First Lego League Challenge, you're competing against all the teams with a sort of higher score model. Here you're doing that too, but there's a bit of co-opetition going on here. You will have another team on your team, and but that team might be on the opposite side of the field in your next round. So lots of back and forth in negotiating that. Teams design, build, and program. They use typical processes that you would find in an engineering environment. Right now, I believe still this year, and we can check on that, they are using Android technology to power the robots. This may be the year it's changing. I apologize for not having that cold hard fact. Back in the days when I was a coach, one would use an Android phone and it would mount right on the robot, and you'd use another Android phone and you would remotely control your robot through the second phone. We want students to develop some strategic problem solving skills. You're going to see all of that in here. These high school programs, both of them now start to qualify for lots of money and scholarships. So this is what an event might look like. This is at Sewanaka High School from 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. And you'll see the field 1 there. You'll see this particular challenge involved stacking some of those blocks in the middle that are a pretty dense foam into those racks. You'll see sort of some blue racks on the left and then red ones on the right. And teams would need to pick those up or otherwise cause them to find their way into those slots. Hint that kicking it in would count, but wouldn't be too effective in this challenge. So teams would work on that. They typically then at the end of their match would have some special things they could do. So if you notice in the very close foreground, there are 3 images in red and 3 in blue. One of the challenges, I believe, in this particular year was for teams to expand their robot's size to reach out with an arm and drop some particular token of their appreciation out into one of those 3 pictures. And of course, the further out, the better the score. So very sophisticated challenges here, definitely catering to the high school ages. Certainly, though, can accommodate some kids a little bit younger in the mix there. And some more photos from one of our tournaments. This is a typical team going to inspection. Their robots must fit within that box at startup and when they get to the field. But once they start, the robot can expand to a much larger size. Many of them get to be 4 or 5 feet tall, depending on what's necessary. Sometimes challenges are reach out and over challenges. Some of them are reach up higher challenges. Some are a little bit of both. And you can see one of our championship teams from a couple of years back here. First Robotics competition is the oldest program in the group, and this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the one that started it all, and all the other programs have to some extent taken on the same attributes as this and scaled them a little bit differently for different audiences. If you've been to our tournaments in Hofstra, this is what you saw as First Robotics competition. These are high school ages, grades 9 to 12, ages 14 and up. Teams of 25 or more students are common. We've seen teams of 75 come down for their awards, and we've seen teams of 4 or 5 work out of a garage too. Their robots are larger, the kids are larger, and now we're talking 120-pound robots, and this gets crazy. So let's move along a little bit with some of the things that make it a little bit different. Very strict rules, very limited resources. They work once again 3 teams at a time in one Uber team, if you will, one alliance, and they compete against another alliance. But as things happen and rotate throughout the day, you may be on one alliance this time, and that same person next to you might be your competition next time on the next round. Students are often mentored by professional engineers. So this is a little bit different. In the younger ages, we really, really insist that students do all the work. Coach's job is really to kind of keep things between the curbs, keep kids on task, and make sure there's a certain amount of safety there, high amount of safety. Now, when we get to the high school ages, though, sometimes it's important for kids to have that mentorship with engineers, and sometimes that's working side by side on a couple of things. Sometimes it's answering questions. But as you may have heard in the video that we started with here, kids are saying, hey, my coach has turned those questions around and asked me how I'm going to solve them. So one of our terms is the hardest fun I've ever had, and that definitely applies to First Robotics competition. Now the crowds get a little bit larger. This is from a couple of years back. This is Zach, and he's there to represent his team. The way that the high school competitions tend to work is you go through a series of matches to determine who ranks higher than other teams, and then the top X amount of teams then sort of select their own alliances that they go through in a championship format. So he's there to represent his team, to choose his alliance. And you'll see our judges there emblazoned in blue right there along the side as well. So lots going on here. And this is from Hofstra. Here's some other photos up close and personal with our friends from Smithtown on the left and Plain Edge on the right, as they are working on, I believe in this photo, the Smithtown team 810 and 1796 from Queens, I believe, have just found out that their alliance won that the robot part of the competition that day. So let's take a look at a glance and compare these a little bit, and we'll talk money a little bit too. So from the first LEGO League programs, they overlap a little bit. That's intentional. We can help guide you through some of those different pieces. The team sizes change a little bit, as you see, as the teams become a little bit older. Typically, you can have home, school, or organizational teams, I believe, at any level now. Got to double check on Discover. The budget is a little, again, I apologize. I don't have the budget for Discover, but Eileen is on the line here. She may know what that is. But these have typically been school teams, so the budget's a little bit different. The budget for first LEGO League Explore you see down here would be for a new team that has to buy the We Do 2.0 kit. And same thing for First LEGO League Challenge, where you would need to buy your Spike Prime kit. Now, you can reuse a lot of that every year, so you would not look at that number in a second and third year typically. A lot of teams get into the beginning, they go through a 4-year cycle. Your mileage may vary here on the money, because if you're, for example, on a school team, you may already have a lot of things for making posters and making signs. You may even have a way to make T-shirts. And if you're a home team, you might have some of that as well, but you might have a little different kind of things. So those are some just general budget numbers to get started with. Now, in these cases, there's also, each of these programs has something called a class pack available. And a class pack is a little bit different because it enables you to use, if you're an educator, it enables you to reuse this. So for example, if you have a set of first Lego League teams you'd like to go through in a fall semester, you can turn around and do that again in a spring semester. The way class packs work, you run your own tournaments locally. You don't necessarily come to the public ones that we provide, but you do have some internal flexibility there in timing and cost. Now, our first programs for high school are a little bit different, and cost is no different there. It goes up as well. Now you're looking at 15 students max for First Tech Challenge and pretty much unlimited for First Robotics competition. If you're doing your math along here, you'll find out that the cost per student remains rather consistent through these programs. So, but teams in the high school level typically do some fundraising. They typically, some of the schools budget for this. It's not usually a, pay your way in as a student, not usually done that way. It's a school thing. So, class packs. So class packs, again, I think I covered most of these, but the idea here is, the curriculum. Yes, you get a curriculum along with this. First has put together curricula for this. First even has a certification program for teachers that are interested in this. There are some hours associated with that can help teachers gain and maintain their certifications. You'll see that, and once again, this is really intended to be able to run multiple times to better accommodate a school year. We are, of course, very concerned about safety. And in this day and age, trying to make sure that youth are protected, not just from things like COVID, but from other forces within, is really important. So First has really worked hard at this with the youth protection program. As a volunteer, I must go and be checked every couple of years to make sure I haven't done anything untoward. Coaches will go through this as well. And we maintain all sorts of documents on this to make sure that everybody stays safe. I did mention scholarships, and this is a big deal. There are over $80 million in scholarships available now. This shows 2018. That number has not gone down as far as I understand. First actually went out and validated a lot of this a few years ago. They said, hey, we've got all these colleges and universities that tell us they'll put all these scholarships out there, but do kids actually get these? And the answer is yes, they do. Kids apply for these in lots of cases. Some universities and colleges will allow you to stack some of these, meaning if you've already gotten something from the school, you can apply this in addition. This has resulted in literally millions of dollars to Long Island students. So this is a big thing. On Long Island, we have seen this sort of circle of life, if you will, evolve in our community. You might hear me talk about my partners, and you might hear me talk about my first family. They're the same thing. And we kind of treat it that way. So let's take a look here and assume that maybe somebody starts out as a high school student in the First Robotics competition program. And during their high school years, they apply to college. So those scholarships are kind of helpful. And then they find out that First actually is pretty helpful about getting internships. After all, they've got some real valid experience that they can point to. They've got, 2 to 4 years of experience with first robotics competition, they've shown and demonstrated that they can stick with something. They may have some leadership skills. They might be president of the organization. They've got something to show. So with those internships, and perhaps SBPLI can help with that as well, now we're looking at Long Island jobs. One of SBPLI's goals is to help these kids find out that there are jobs here on Long Island in the tech sector. And of course, there are mentors available to help these students as they find their way into work, but also the students become mentors. A lot of kids that graduate from their first robotics competition teams will go away to college and they'll start to miss their first family, and they'll come back on breaks and they'll be right in there as a mentor. Or maybe they'll find their new adopted home in a different city and they'll get involved there. So mentorship kind of works both ways. We certainly foster their volunteerism at an early age, and we get them involved. And so they become volunteers and they help put on some of our events, and they help do some of the things that you'll hear us talk about. And then we had a situation a few years ago where two volunteers actually, they liked each other a lot. In fact, they got married. And so one of these days, who knows, we might see some first Lego League Explore students. So we see this goes on, and we talk about the progression of programs, which often you would think starts at an early age and goes through from the beginning to the end. And I'll admit my kids did that. They did 10 and 12 years of programs sequentially. But oftentimes our programs are something that somebody learns about in high school, and then they've got a younger brother or sister that gets involved at a younger age. And the cycle kind of goes backwards a little bit, and that's great too. Now, we don't do this alone. We have been building these strategic alliances with our sponsors here on Long Island. You'll see some of the school sponsors that help us with events. You'll see some of the business sponsors. First is a sponsor as well. I think the state of New York is up here sometimes as well. But you'll see that a lot of people are involved in this, and a lot are high-tech businesses. Festo, Zebra right here, Telephonics right here on Long Island, Schenck certainly, all high-tech businesses that are doing STEM-like things. So how can my child join? Well, there is no sign-up sheet for I'd like to get my kids on a team. It doesn't kind of work that way. What does happen is that you can start a team, and we're here to help. One of our first coaches in the younger First Lego League Explore area is an artist by trade, not an engineer. Those teams succeeded just fine. So you don't need any prior experience. We do provide some training, and we do that a number of ways. We have a training program or session that we conduct every year for new coaches, and we kind of walk you through everything you need to know and let you talk to other coaches and really get the inside scoop. But of course, First also provides those handbooks. So with those handbooks, you can really follow along, and they will give you a meeting by meeting session. Those books are also lined up to, so if you have an 8-week program or a 16-week program, they've got different paths in there that you can take. There is mentoring available too. We do have some coaches who will help you, talk you off the ledge once in a while if necessary. You can also talk to your school. We have a lot of schools, and we might be able to help you with understanding which schools are typically involved. But we do have some schools that are not involved on Long Island, hard to believe. And we can help you maybe have a chat with the superintendent or principal that can help you get moving there, or maybe find a friendly teacher that wants to help. So that's really the way on how things get started. Now, this is the website for our parent organization, firstinspires.org. And if you head there, then you have a chance to sign up there, and you can register. Doesn't cost anything to register, and you can start to see how things fit together. And then you can go into a dashboard here, and you can start to register a team. And they will walk you through all the different things that you may need to order. And of course, we're here to help if you need as well. And they have some telephone support if you really get stuck. Let's take a look at what a typical season looks like. What do we add here on Long Island? Well, we maintain a calendar of events, and some of these are designed to help you get ready to go as a team and as a coach. And then we have some competitions and other expos that we do. So starting in August here, just I think today or yesterday, some of these challenges were made public. So this happens every year at this time, and you'll be able to see exactly what's expected of each team. So you get more than just a flavor, you'll see the exact requirements for the year. In September, First Tech Challenge typically has a kickoff of some sort as their season is released. And then in October, we have some different events going on. So we'll have a coaches meeting for our First Lego League Explorer teams. We have some training at the First Lego League Challenge level. And our First Tech Challenge friends have also gotten involved in some training, typically on that day. We often hold this in Bethpage High School. We'll see how COVID does and how we are at this point. We have done this virtually as well, but we will find a way to get it done. In November, we start working a little bit more, more heavily on training in the First Tech Challenge area. Typically, there's a series of training events. And the first robotics competition often has an off-season event, which is just a chance for kids to use, quote, last year's robot and to try it out again. It's a great day for teams who have new incoming freshmen who aren't quite sure what's expected of them. And it works out as a good day. They also kind of get to dust off the robot and remember what they wanted to change for the current season. In December, we start our practice tournaments for First Lego League Challenge. Once again, this is with the Lego Mindstorms and Spike Prime devices. We have typically run a practice tournament. This has been held in a middle school gym, and we've held, I think, 3 of these per weekend on a weekend. We may need to do this on a more remote basis. We did a remote version of this last year. But again, we'll find a way to get some practice in. First Tech Challenge has some scrimmages, and I believe some of those happened online as well last year. And otherwise, we tend to meet and get a chance for everybody to try out their new robots in the early fledgling stages. January, we start into the qualifying tournaments, and this is at the First Lego League and First Tech Challenge area. Usually the first or second weekend in January, first robotics competition does a little kickoff there. This is a little bit different because they're on a little bit different time frame. Typically, a first robotics competition team has 6 weeks to complete their robot. Those rules have changed a little bit in the last couple of years, but typically they try to get things done in a 6-week period. So their season starts 6 weeks to the weekend after kickoff. So there's a lot going on. In February, we continue typically with some challenging with the first Lego League Challenge qualifying tournaments, and we keep going on the First Tech Challenge tournaments. In March, we start to see some championships around, and for our First Lego League Explore teams, we have some expos. An expo and a championship be a little bit different. So an expo is not competitive, but it does give kids a chance to show off what they've learned, see what other people have done with the same challenge, and generally to be in a nice, great environment where they can learn from other people. Once again, in this season or this past season, this was done virtually, but we had lots of teams get online with their reviewers and make their presentations and got their awards and saw the closing ceremony with their awards and got their mentions and everything. Also March, our first robotics competition event or events. It depends on the year sometimes where they have 1 or 2. That's typically done at Hofstra. This was done virtually last year, but we're ever hopeful. And that typically will take place in mid-March. All right, so I think we've covered a fair amount of this, but just to make sure we're all on the same path here, we very much want to be back in person, but we want to do it safely. Our decisions are usually very few on this. Usually there's some governmental and school rules that apply that make things a little bit easier to understand, but typically we're going to follow what we can do to do this as best we can, but we do have some plans for any number of scenarios. So there will be a season, and how it looks will be, well, we'll see how that goes as we move along. Some of the things that we thought about last year at this time as we were trying to plan for a COVID season is still worth thinking about. And you've probably seen some of this already as you've gone through, but virtual field trips. We're not, maybe we can't go see that new transportation related thing we'd like to see at the airport this year, but maybe we can get a tour remotely, that kind of thing. We found our coaches have found ways to get kids working together, even though they may not be in the same place. It's all sorts of things going on. And if you feel like you're stuck here, we can help with that a little bit too. We are always looking for volunteers. Volunteers are the backbone of our organization. So we really could use help at every level. Just a few of the jobs that you might see here. We've got a couple of judges in the top right and in the middle on the left there. There's our friend Beryl, who is one of our MCs and game announcers. And on the left, you'll see some of our referees. There's Troy on the left, and he's working with a couple of students there from a couple years back. Casey on the bottom left, another one of our referees. And a father that volunteered to take photos for us and has been back every year since. And I think I know those kids on the right there. That's part of our student event team, who are students helping other students. And they have also been the backbone of our volunteerism. And we'll leave you with a couple last thoughts here. So first is, this is Dean. Dean says it pretty well. Okay. So I'll let you look at that. We had another video, but since we're having some trouble, I think we're going to skip ahead on that. And that will bring us to Q&A. So presenters, if you could be around to answer some questions here. I see one coming here from Alexandra, who says that we're looking to join a team, not start a team, and can we connect with one in Western Suffolk? And it's a little tricky. I don't know, Stephanie, do you want to talk about that maybe?
Okay. Hi, I would say we can't put, as Rick said, put students on teams, but every now and then we do hear about a team that might be looking for more students. So you could email me with that information, but and if anything comes up, we would connect you. But overall, as Rick said, looking for some maybe like-minded kids in the neighborhood and finding a way to start your own team would ensure that your child is on a team.
I have another question from Jeremy, and it says he's got 3 team members. We lost one during the pandemic. Can we have a team with just 3 members? Yes, you can. And, our only recommendation there is they not, be triplets. They not all be related. Better usually if because there's a different dynamic that goes on there. But yes, 3 3 will work. They'll be very busy, but they should communicate well. And Michael, with the competitions being held in person this year, boy, I wish I knew. We're planning for every eventuality here. In person, fully remote, hybrid. We're thinking about all the options, and we're typically going to have to see what we are required to do, and then what is available to us, and we will try to figure that out. But we very much would like to be back in person. I was watching Stephanie's face here as we played the video, and you saw the actual competitions going on, and I saw a smile I haven't seen in a while. So that'll give you an idea how much we want to be back in front of those open competitions. So any other questions? Just use the chat there or the Q&A panel if you like.
Yeah, I would like to add, if there's any new teams or new coaches out there, I did get an email from at least one team and possibly 2 that there may be a table available. So if anyone is interested in a table, you can email me as well, which exactly going to be on the next slide.
So this is how you can get a hold of us if you need. And Sunil, thank you for your kind words, sir. But here we are with some contact information if you need. And if you think I left something out or lied to you, these people will straighten me right out. And by the way, we haven't talked. We typically get people at this event that want to start some of the younger groups. They have younger children, but we also have coaches sometimes kicking the tires on the high school programs, trying to decide if they can pull that off. And the answer is yes, you can. Certainly, First Tech Challenge. We've had a couple of home teams at the first robotics competition level, which is truly amazing sometimes. So yes, you can, and we can help you get there. Had one more comment here. You're looking to volunteer at Hofstra. Thank you very much. I'm sure Mr. Larry would love to get that information from you if you would be so kind as to email him. Barbara, thank you very much.
Yes, please send me an email. Thank you.
Okay, and we have somebody else who has several Prime kits, wondering if it made sense to purchase the class pack. So the class pack is, if you think about any of these programs, there's the equipment that you need to have, the Lego programs. There's the year-over-year Lego stuff that you would buy, and then there's the every season stuff that you would get through first. So the Spike Prime kits may solve the problem of I've got the robot now. Now I've got the robot kit, but you'll still need an annual kit. And that's what the class pack provides, is just the annual side of that. It doesn't provide the actual robot. So yes, you could get class packs if that would make sense from a school point of view. And we can help you navigate that a little bit, because there's some choices to make in there. But yes, a class pack would, or a team package is, as you see fit, would make sense to do there. But you're halfway there. You've got the robots. I'm going to qualify that one more time though. And that is particularly at the first Lego League, the Spike Prime and the predecessors. First offers a package through Lego Education that has specific add-on parts that are really helpful to have. Can you buy those separately somewhere else through? Yes. But typically the Spike Prime kit you buy at retail does not have that extra set of parts. So you might find yourself with a great box and a great robot and still needing some more stuff that you don't have. So just double check that. But if you're a school, you probably bought them through Lego Education. And if that's the case, you may have similar kits. So maybe good to go there. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? So one URL I did not put up here. Well, you can start here, firstlongisland.org. Though many of you got a flyer from Stephanie and it has a page on there, which is firstlongisland.org/infonight. And I will quickly, when we're finished here, put up some links, or probably later tonight actually, put up some links to the videos that we did not show. And I will later post there a YouTube video when I get a chance to put it together, recording of tonight's session. And so you can review that if you like. If you've got questions, though, just let us know and send us a little email note, and we can probably answer them for you pretty quickly. Okay.
Just want to shout out to Rick. Thank you for getting all that together and doing all the technical work behind the scenes and getting us an info night. Thanks, Rick.
No problem. No problem.
Can I just add on for people that want to find a team, or the best way to even reach out to people is just talk about wanting to start a team. You'd be amazed how many people you'll run into that either have a first connection or, oh, my son did this, and I know so-and-so. And usually you'll be amazed how many people just in everyday life that are part of First that you didn't even know before. Talk to your library, talk to your school superintendent, just keep talking to people, and even your fellow parents that your kids are friends with, because there's usually one or two other parents who are into it too, and like, oh, I'd love to start a team. And it really takes a village when does become a team. I have no background in anything related to STEM, and I've had a team for the last 7 years. So anything is possible, and just keep talking to people, because you'll find your team.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Larry, Ed, anything you want to add? Larry and Ed are from our high school programs. And anything that you'd like to add here before we close?
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for doing a great job as usual. Just that, as the slides pointed out, our season is first starting up with kickoff in January, and we're eager to go live, and we'll have to see how it plays. But as of now, we're planning on having a live event in Hofstra the week of March 20th. So you might want to keep that date, for the time being. Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay. And Stella, thank you for your note in the chat. Really appreciate that. And miss seeing you and your team. And we're going to try to figure out how to make this better one of these days. So anyhow, maybe we'll get, a lot of first teams are very instrumental in 3D printing masks and things in the early days of COVID. So we need one of them to help us with some of the vaccines, I think, as well. And who knows, but all right. Thank you very much for your attention. And we will, as I said, we'll get some of these other materials up and available for you. And we look forward to having a chance to talk to you a little bit in the future about how we can get you started. Thank you and good night.
This presentation was originally recorded on August 18, 2021, and contains the most accurate information available at that time. We encourage you to visit the links shown here for any new or more detailed information.